I'm a big Sonic fan. I'm a huge childhood Sonic fan. I was way more into Sonic than I was Mario comparatively. Believe it or not. And I've always been rooting for Sonic to like not be bad. Like clearly, if you're a Sonic fan and you hit the blunt hard like I did between Sonic 1, 2, 3 and Knuckles, into the 90s filler until Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 happened, into the fun that is Sonic Heroes, and you kind of have like this a giant mixed bag of shit until, I guess you can say half of Sonic Generations in 2011, but then really like kind of like just a mild trail of quality until we get to the high point of Sonic Mania in 2017, and going right back into another flop with Sonic Forces the following year. Well, with all that in mind here, because I'm rooting for Sonic to like be good and be awesome. I also am a huge Sonic comic fan. I have all the Archie comics. I have like issue 5. I have most of issue 5 up to the ending in 296, 297. So I've been with Sonic for a long ass time. The new IDW comic iteration I'm also reading right now, which is pretty cool. I have flexed my collection before on stream once. I will happily flex it again if anyone calls up my power level. Pretty up there right now. But anyway, so all that aside, I just want you to know that I'm coming here as an invested Sonic fan who wants to see Sonic be a good movie. So with all that in mind here, is the Sonic movie good? Is it worth seeing? The answer is yes. It's actually it is good, and it is worth seeing if you're a fan. The problem is I don't think there's a lot here to really like win anyone who's not already a Sonic fan over, and that's because it's a very simple story that plays it very, very safe. And I want to go into more about that, but I feel like I don't know how to really articulate my complaints well without spoiling shit. So it doesn't suck. No, it is remarkably anywhere from average to above average depending on your devotion to Sonic. And like your outlook on, is this a good for a movie or is it good for a video game movie? Like, do you have different scales for this whole thing here? And ultimately, have your expectations been increased since the CG overhaul was done to make Sonic's aesthetics look less terrible? So with all that in mind here, the go-to here to compare to honestly is going to be Detective Pikachu. So when I say the movie's average to above average, what I'm really getting at here is like, the comparison, the elephant in the room here is ultimately Detective Pikachu. Is it better than that? And the answer, simply put, is no, it's not. Even though they tackle subject matters differently, the difference here is that Detective Pikachu offers a much more complicated, context-specific story that I feel like one really only like Pokemon could tell to the way it was done. Comparatively, Sonic here is such a simpler tale that is so lighthearted and generic that there's a lot of things here where you could have replaced, hypothetically, Sonic feeling or doing these things with CGI chipmunks, like Alvin chipmunks. The whole idea of like CGI animal in the human world, out of place, fish out of water, has been done so many times before here that ultimately the beats, the homesickness, the loneliness, whatever, all this shit's been done to hell and back. And the problem is there's not a lot of substance to add to that with Sonic here. That's like all done in the opening of the movie, really. Now, I want to get into spoilers to go into more about that here, but first I will say here that yes, it's worth seeing if you're into Sonic. I think it's a fine and/or fair Valentine's Day film to see. You'll have a great time. It is genuinely funny. Jim Carrey as Robotnik / Eggman kills it. I love it. I love it a lot, actually. For that, there are some cool one-liners from Sonic. There's a lot to like here about the film. It could have been a lot worse. It is also shockingly going for much more emotional appeal than I expected here, honestly. Although the trailer's full here, it's actually a lot of emotional basis for wanting you to really feel for Sonic throughout the film, so be ready for that. Is it a step in the right direction? Yes, actually. This is definitely something way more along the lines of Detective Pikachu, or of that quality here. I think it's stepping up a lot for giving video game adaptation movies a genuine chance to be adequate quality films. This is nowhere near any of the questionable qualities of 93 Mario Brothers, Street Fighter, Legend of Chun-Li, or Mortal Kombat, or Assassin's Creed. Those are all trash films, like full on. There's no like, they're bad for video game films, and they're bad as like films. Like there's no way to really compare. Those are all just trash all around, and you know it. Because the story is so simple, it's not gonna lose anyone in the audience. You don't have to have played any Sonic games or any of that. Everything's fed to you quite simply, and what happens on screen is what's literally gonna happen and be explained here. Sonic's in our world. There's a threat wanting his power, being able to go fast and do stuff, and he's got to choose like what's he gonna do with the power versus what is he gonna stay in this world or not, and things like that. So yeah, it's a simple, basic, casual film going for mass appeal, and admittedly, yeah, it does a great job at making Sonic a likable character. But if you're but it is very, very simple, and due to how simplistic the tale is, Sonic is honestly quite disposable in many of the situations he's put in. Could have been a chipmunk, it could have been whatever, it could have been a CGI, it could have been a Smurf, honestly, for a lot of what happens here. Is my one call to critique of the whole thing. But it does do its simple stuff quite well. It is worth seeing. And I also will tell you here that there are not one but two major post-credit scenes to look out for. So don't leave early, because you're gonna miss out on some stuff here. One you may expect, the other you kind of won't expect, actually. So that's where I will end it right now. It's worth seeing. It's good for a movie. Admittedly, it does play it safe, and I want to elaborate further on those thoughts, but it requires me to go into spoilers here. So if you are gonna go see it, I encourage you to probably mute the stream for the next 10 minutes. There are some original characters that are introduced here, and the reason why the movie for me kind of falters a little bit is that it lacks substance. The whole reason that Sonic's going through all she is going through is given very little time to really breathe. In the opening 3 minutes of the movie, you're introduced to like Sonic, his world, his guardian, this original new character. A foreign force is causing him to need to like consider like where he's gonna go the rest of his life and shit like that, and then him being put in a new world. Like a whole bunch of shit happens in the movie, just like it's like wham bam done, out, and you move on. Yeah, that happens, and then it's like kind of like never referenced again. Both the foreign evil force that ejects Sonic to our universe out of, I guess we'll call it Green Hill Zone or Flash Mobius, is never referenced ever again. Sonic's guardian, who like tells him that you have a mystic power that people are sought after, and you need to protect it at all costs. This guardian female owl character, she looks pretty cool. But yeah, she's like never seen ever again either. Just like, you know, it just open 3 minutes, come and gone like that, dude. And yeah, it just ultimately, like, it's just kind of like it's done to get the plot moving forward, and then never, like, I don't know, like properly cross-referenced ever again, which kind of sucks. So you're just kind of like, you know, well, there's not much really grounding the stakes of what Sonic's going through here, as far as him being lonely in Green Hills, Montana, where he is. I wish the narrative was a little more balanced in that, and maybe that's like more setting up for a sequel kind of shit right there. I'm not quite sure, but that's interesting there. So there is the female owl original character here who is Sonic's guardian / parent or whatever the fuck. And from there, that's a major point I want to get into with that. Yeah, the film is just, you know, very simple, very relatable. You know, it's a lot of, you know, Sonic and the human being friends and shit like that, just kind of going through things and whatnot. The reason why this film is not as good as Detective Pikachu, and or could be compared as a lesser version of Bumblebee, you guys remember that film came out a while back here, is because Bumblebee like is routinely cross-referencing like the stakes and the conflict of the plot itself here, with Starscream coming to like fuck their ass up and all that. Whereas here, like, I don't know, like it's not there's not as much grounding in. So it's just a very, very simple, like, yeah, being lonely feels bad kind of thing, which I guess is fine. It's, again, that's totally fine. I wish there was more balance in that. It's a very, very, very simple story, but it does its job very well, though. Admittedly, it's kind of coming off guard because it's a lot more emotional than I thought the trailers would have to be here. Or I thought it was gonna be more like an action comedy. It's more like a kind of like a buddy cop film, I guess I would say here. Now, with that out the way, though, okay, so the major spoilers here are that the leaks that you may have heard are true. The post-credit scene does as you expect here. Eggman doesn't actually die. He ends up in the mushroom world, you know, obviously a jab at Mario. Ends up in the mushroom world universe and is like pissed off about that. Becomes, you know, shaved head, insane, you know, Teddy Roosevelt mustache, and you know, now he's our iconic Eggman as he is right now. And yeah, so he's gonna come in and do more diabolical stuff in the future here because he's insane at this point or whatever. But there was also a second post-credit scene where Tails appears and is holding some kind of like emerald radar, I think, or I forget how he's tracking Sonic down. He's like, he must be here. And yeah, it's like full-on CG Tails, looking great. And he uses his little twin tails to propeller helicopter fly away towards Sonic, who, you know, is where he is. For sure, I saw that, you know, Eggman not dying was a thing here, because clearly you want to keep your sequel open-ended options available to you. That way you can continue to use Jim Carrey, who's a very bankable component of the success of this film, I would say. Having Tails come in, that is some mad fan service. So that tells me that they were confident in the film and that they already knew they wanted to make more before this film even wrapped up, which is cool because I think this is a step in the right direction. I think there's a lot of potential here to do more and better. Again, I think from here onward, you can just play. You could play further into the lore of Sonic to give a little more complexity to the story here. But I guess we'll see. Also, in time here, I will admit here, I'm pretty transparent in my biases. I would just love to see like a full CG Sonic animated film, just kind of like not have to like hold down the restraints of like human co-occupants in the film and just go, you know, buck wild with like some of the greatness we've seen from the potential of like the 1996 Japanese OVA movie. So we will see where things go from here, but ultimately, yeah, this is a great start and continuing a good trend of video game adaptations getting the attention that they deserve here. I think the film's going to do pretty well. If you didn't hear, it did open $3 million at midnight box office, which is good. That's pretty dope actually. And so I think it's going to be able to like probably close out at probably over 100 million domestic and be able to potentially go upwards of matching that 500 million plus figure that the Pikachu did actually. We will see though. We will see. I wonder how this does in other markets because it does seem like a particularly like USA driven story. Like I'm not sure how relatable this will be to like the whole idea of like, you know, small rural town Green Hill Zone Montana being relatable to like Chinese box office goers and things like that. But you know, if it does well overseas here, it's further submits that we're going to see more films like this actually, which is pretty cool. Also here too though is, let's not forget we have the elephant in the room right now where, so if I'm comparing this continuously to the Pikachu, then I must also bring up here that we're not done yet, boys. In the same fiscal half decade, you will get a Pokemon live action CGI hybrid film. You will get a Sonic CGI film, and you're gonna get, we are getting the next major player. We are getting the Mario Illumination fully CG animated film coming from Illumination, the makers of Despicable Me / Minions / Secret Life of Pets, and that's coming in 2022 as of right now. Miyamoto confirmed in an interview last year that movie was actually still on time. So it's unfortunate that it's Illumination making the film. So I feel it's going to be way more slapstick nothingness than like I guess like the potential for like a, you know, a lore heavy Mario film. But again, it's more like, you know, it probably will be very similar to this one here. It'll probably be a very safe film. that's going to aim to not complicate any future productions done with Mario games. The movie should be in synergy of building brand awareness, not in an obligation to like hinder the gameplay possibilities by there being like lore contradictions by the movie itself, right? So I just imagine that like because Nintendo's involved here, they're gonna just like continue to control freak it so hard that it either will be really good or it'll be really bad. But I guess we'll see, won't we? So yeah, that's my whole thing for you right there. Were there any questions? Did I not cover anything about the Sonic movie that you guys wanted to know more about? If you guys have any questions here, I'm here to answer them if you want me to. Will the sequel add other characters, you think? Almost certainly yes. The fact that Tails appears at the very end of this one as a secret thing means that they're probably going to give more of what the fans want. Fans want more characters, obviously. You know, you did Sonic the whole way through here. From here on, you just kind of do more of the same thing. That was everything I got for you as far as spoilers there. Hopefully you've enjoyed my stuff there. I also encourage you to come by we have a spoiler discussion room on my Discord, !Discord in chat. And you can, I threw out more of my extended thoughts there as well. But yeah, I saw the Sonic film. I think it's a fine film. I think it's worth seeing, especially if you're a Sonic fan. Even if you're not a Sonic fan, the story is so simple that you won't be lost upon entry whenever you go in there. And there are some heartfelt moments. There's a lot more emotion in this film than I expected. But ultimately, its weaknesses are going to be that it is a very simple story that does minimal to really dive into the lore of Sonic himself here. So a lot of what happens here with the plot points are disposable in that they're not unique or exclusive or fully utilizing the strength of Sonic as a character. So you never really feel like that emotional stake, because also, yeah, things are pretty ham-fisted here. Now, wait, well, before I continue on though, I do want to bring up here, even though the film does kind of like gloss over Sonic's reason for feeling conflict in this world and all that in the opening 3 minutes here, the film is like 90 minutes long or whatever. It never felt like it overstayed its welcome. Like I even feels like 10 minutes longer might have felt a little bit bloated, and that, you know, okay, this is like a really simple story, you should probably move along here. Things do move along ultimately, so I never, again, thankfully, I never found myself bored shitless or hoping that it would move along faster. So that could be a good thing, actually, comparatively. I think that's all I got for you right now, y'all.